Tell me where do I go? Tell me where do I take us?
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Bing Chillers Fury stream here. We're going to be watching Fury take on Peak Azurite in APL, and I'm here joined with my co-host Sim Malcolm. How you doing?
Pretty good, Civil. This is going to be an exciting matchup. Fury looking to maintain their undefeated record in Aegis, and Peak Azurite looking to secure a 2-1 record. Going down 1-2 is, as we discussed earlier, is not ideal.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely don't want to be stuck in that position, and that's why we expect them to be fighting hard. We did get in for a little late on bans, but the pick for B1 is going to be Ashe, and I think it's a really safe early pick, especially for BCF, knowing Buiz. He really likes this pick. And what do you think about their response?
Varus is a pretty tried and true response to the Ashe. Just try to match the wave clear, try to match the range. Very similar ultimates and similar utility. But I think the key difference is the global nature of Ashe. So Varus applies a lot of pressure in lane, and Fresh comes in.
Yep, and I think it's interesting that PKA put their jungler on a carry early. What I noticed about draft is that we are zipping through it. These guys had a plan coming in, and they're just locking what they were expecting to lock. Oh, an early Zac cover. You would think they already locked their jungler in, but maybe they are doing some shenanigans with some Viego solo laning. I mean, a little bit dated since back in the day it used to be really good, but then they targeted with specific nerfs on his sustain off of minions, and that made him a little bit less viable in these solo lanes. But now we are seeing a quick return, potentially, or maybe it's Zac top.
I choose to believe that it's going to be the Zac flex, and the Viego is going to slot into jungle. We could definitely see solo lane Viego. I think Viego's a champ that really wants other champs to enter space before him, and I think right now, if you're not playing Maokai or Sedge, you should be leaving that Vanguard nature to a proper tank.
Yeah, that's my point of view as well. I think this kind of tries to take advantage of the more chaotic nature of games that are like in Plat Diamond, where I think Zac excels when teams give him openings and they're not controlling vision well. But if he ends up being a solo lane flex for them, I think it'll ultimately end up getting punished by not being more useful in the tank department for their backline. Here we're going to see I kind of expected them to pick a support, but Nautilus is their choice. It looks like they're just playing hard engaged bot lane here. I didn't really get the chance to look at their past drafts in any way, but this is certainly a bit stock standard as what you'd expect from these types of teams.
Yeah, a lot of CC to set up the Viego and the Varus. I actually was more hoping to see the Ziggs instead of the Nautilus here, but I like the Taliyah response from Fury. That's really, really punishing to work through that Raveled Earth as a melee champ.
Yep, it does open her up to some pretty hard counter picks, but ultimately I think thematically they want to control space, and they're going to be able to do that very well. The enemy team is spec'd very heavily into gap closing, so this is a good standard pick. Gnar is a super chase classic blind pick, but I guess maybe he didn't think it was a blind pick because they were flexing the Zac, and he just wanted into Zac. And we do end up seeing the LeBlanc last pick as an answer to Taliyah. They hovered Xerath for a second. I think that's in my personal opinion, when you look at what the enemies are playing, Xerath seems like a superior pick because it forces the opponent to come forward. But they end up going with the LeBlanc. They must have a lot of faith in their ability to find really abrupt engages. That's ultimately what their whole comp is going to center around.
Yeah, I agree that the Xerath would have been a better pick, just an overall stronger pick. I think you have to put a lot more work. Peak Azurite have to work a lot harder to enable the LeBlanc. I don't think this is a matchup that LeBlanc has a lot of agency in, because LeBlanc is a champion where her primary wave clear before Shiv, and even after, and especially with the Shiv nerfs, really, really reliant on W for that wave clear. And if you're Wing into the minion wave, you're running into Taliyah E. So I'm going to be looking at this Nautilus and this Viego to unlock the LeBlanc, because I don't think she's getting that. She's going to get to move otherwise.
Right, and in the same right, we're going to be looking towards T-Lights to be making some pretty good counter roams, because you can anticipate that Nautilus is going to want to be scrappy early, especially with the champions that they've designated. So looking into kind of what the enemy strategy is going to be, it's up to T-Lights, who has a very versatile champion, to take counter engage steps or counter strategic steps to protect his mid lane, because ultimately I feel safe in saying that even though their comp's a little low damage early, come objective standoffs, you can expect to see BCF having an easier time controlling the space. Of course, this is contingent on the fact that they have vision control and are able to track the enemies. There is a lot of chaos that can ensue from the team that PKA has put together. So ultimately, I wouldn't say that there's any inherent advantage, because it's going to come down to how these players execute.
Yeah, we're going to see I'm gonna go out and say that I like Fury's comp a lot more. I think the Ashe and the Sedge put a lot of pressure on PKA, and they have good tools. PKA has good tools, but I think the LeBlanc's gonna struggle to move early on, and I think with a cautious level 1, like no invades, no shenanigans. I think Chillers are pretty comfortable playing out the game from that spot. Hawkshot's just gonna spot out the first possible plays from the Viego. If that, okay, yeah, it is in fact going to be Viego jungle, Zach top.
Yep, we've gotten confirmation, and that's probably preferable for the Gnar matchup. Not that either matchup would necessarily be bad, but Gnar does play well into these types of champions, where he's going to be able to get free harass, proc his passive. Obviously both these champions would have not necessarily been hard to play into, but on first item spike, second item spike, Viego would have had more scrappy tools. Maybe he would have went on Bork first if he had gone top, and who knows how that could have played out comparatively to Zach, where if he's not getting ganked, you can anticipate that Gnar will have a lot of control over the lane.
Yeah,
and it looks like we've been joined here by the coach himself for BCF Fury. How we doing, Mikey?
What's going on, brother? It's the karaoke coach himself. How's everybody doing this evening? How you guys doing?
Absolutely swell myself. I'm excited to watch these boys get into it. And we were just talking over how Sim thinks this is a very preferable draft for Fury, and I'm inclined to agree. I think obviously there's room for the opponent to outplay based on their champions, but we definitely have great tools for stifling their options of being creative. Hawkshot, Tilio, minefield, stopping dashes.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling about this draft yourself?
I have been strategizing like all week, basically, about how we're gonna draft against this team, because they have played like a very large assortment of things across the board, especially in mid lane. There's been they've played everything from Asol to Jace to Tristana. Top lane has been very much like Ornn centric. I wasn't super concerned about that because I knew they were gonna probably go for a tank. Ragnarok Esports, please on the Ashe. Hey, I know that's you, Gunny. Gunny, chill. All right. His Ashe is 100% win rate in APL so far. Okay. All right, Gunny. Okay.
I'm a firm believer that Ashe is an insane pick right now. If anyone who knows me knows I'm spamming this pick in OP. I'm sorry, in League of Legends, because it feels good. It feels good to just have permanent impact regardless of kind of how your lane goes. You could always, you could lose lane and then you could bank an arrow from halfway across the map and change a different lane's outcome completely. So it gives you a lot of agency for the ADC role, and I think it's a very safe early pick. As we see, it got countered, but we don't really have to even worry that much about it because the champion, like I just said, has a lot of impact regardless. So ultimately, I think our team is just it's easier to play these champions consistently, which is going to be rewarding.
Yeah, we just have a ton of deny too. When I was theory crafting what to pair with this Talia, I was like, you know what? Chase's best champ historically has been Gnar, and the fact that you can Gnar ulti on top of the minefield is just an insane combo for crowd control and damage. So it felt too good for me. I had to take it. It does feel kind of bad to not have melee options apart from Mega Gnar for the Sejuani, but you know, it doesn't necessarily need that to function, you know. So I'm very pleased with the draft and how it went. So I'm excited to see this game.
I want to know what your thoughts are on this LeBlanc R5.
Yeah, I don't understand it at all. I think the MO that they have really is we have to get Viego resets, and what better single target like assassin for mid lane than LeBlanc to do so. But I don't think they're inherently like thinking about the Talia at all, and how Talia just plays to negate LeBlanc in general. So it's a little bit scuffy wuffy, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, they actually hovered Xerath for a second, and I made a comment that I think that would have been a far superior pick for them, considering they were already spec'd into Varus, and that puts the team for Fury in a position they don't really want to be in, which is that they end up having to close the gap themselves and make the plays themselves. Whereas when when the enemy team, picks LeBlanc, they are now put in a position where, okay, well, other than Varus, we have no reason for the opponents to walk forward. They can, especially at objective standoffs, they can control the space, they can control the tempo, and unless they walk into an area that's unsafe without vision and they get engaged on by Zac, it really should not be too easy if you're PKA to interact and control space yourself. So I totally agree. I don't think the LeBlanc is the best pick. I think the Xerath they hovered would have been a better counter.
I still think that doesn't function into the comp that they have though. Like the Xerath just sits back by itself, you know, unless you're going like poke Varus, and even then, you've picked so much dive at that point. You know what I mean? It's like everybody's going to be diving in. You're going to be leaving Xerath by himself anyway, and he's just going to die.
That's potentially true. I think Sim made a comment about Zac being not the best for filling the Vanguard spot, and I agree, because if they had picked something a little bit more stable for the top lane to kind of stand their ground, then you would be able to.
I was saying that Viego wants people to step in front of him. He doesn't want to enter space first, and and by picking Nautilus and Zac's playing top lane, he's gonna have to match Gnarl game. It's like Nautilus is not a durable champion. He gets blown up very quickly. If this Nautilus doesn't take aftershock, I think he's just gonna die. He gets caught by a stray hook. He's just dead. And then
I think we're agreeing about the Vanguard comment, because like what I was saying is they want a front line to enable the potential of if they had a stronger front line. Like if we think about traditionally where Zac wants to position compared to other Vanguards, he's going to want to be in the wings. He's going to want to be looking for angles outside of playing the front line where his engage is going to be telegraphed and obvious, and that's not really going to line up with what Viego and potentially, if they wanted to draft Xerath, would have wanted. So I agree. Playing into Zac's strengths here is not going to fit the strengths of the rest of the team.
Yeah, I think Zac's champ is, if you're reliant on Zac as primary engage, your draft's in a rough spot. He's a champ that really wants to let someone else go in first, much like Viego does. And so you're all in on this Nautilus, who did in fact go Glacial Augment. There's no break here, ladies and gentlemen. We talked all through the delay, so we're just gonna get right to it. Just give me a moment while I set up everything before.
Alright, y'all, good luck, have fun with the cats. I will catch y'all after draft in the next game.
Alright,
yes,
take
sir.
care.
See you soon.
Okay.
Alrighty. Let me know when we're in the...
Yeah, we're in.
Oh, okay, so we are here into game one. Fury versus PKA, Peak Azurite. As we know, going into this game, Fury is looking to continue their undefeated streak. And ultimately, like we were talking about just now in draft analysis, I think that they have the upper hand to do so in game one. So, pretty good spot. Pretty classic 5-point from both teams as well. Nothing they did have some pretty explosive level 1s with Ashe and Nautilus, but looks like both teams are looking to play it more consistent.
Agreed. Yeah, I was really anticipating an invade, but just an exchange of wards. Little surprising. But I do like the cheese. I think this Peak Azurite comp really needs to snowball, really needs to get the ball rolling to enable this LeBlanc, because I think the LeBlanc is so pivotal to their composition, especially because it was the R5 selection. And the LeBlanc can be really problematic with flanks, enabling the Viego and the Zac to thwart Fury's attempts to control space.
Yep. And I agree with that comp breakdown. I'm actually curious about how you feel about the Viego 3 camp towards top here. Do you think this is kind of, I personally don't know if I would do this, but I kind of want to hear if you have some reasoning behind that for him.
It might be that he wants to blow the Gnar flash early, because there's a good chance that Super Chase might feel pretty confident in this lane and not opt for hop. Yeah, because I think Viego choosing to 3-camp gank top lane is an unexpected decision. So there's a good chance that Super Chase is just not ready for it. He won't take the hop. He'll take hyper instead, and that's a flash, and then you can repeat gank that.
Yeah, and maybe that's actually going to be a bit advantageous for the side of PKA, because as we know, Gnar should theoretically bully this lane, so it will be harder if he's fearing the idea of a counter gank. Although Viego, taking his Krugs, does decide to just path straight down, and ultimately he's on the same pacing as Sejuani, so he's not too far behind. He's only like a few seconds, one camp, maybe a few seconds behind on his clear. But it's really going to be, another aspect is he's not really going to have a lane to gank, as both of his lanes are, both mid and bot should be pretty difficult to gank, considering bot is perma shoved in. If they play it well and let the side of Fury push out on bottom, then
Ooh, nice shove. Yeah,
really good trade.
I think if I'm Viego here, I'm looking to play for double scuttle, because you can threaten a gank bot lane, possibly, depending on how Bleeze and Lights play the lane from here. But I think it's better you have... Okay.
Okay,
right,
Viego stalling is clear a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna take it off. We're gonna take it off the spectate for a moment. Yeah, I think ideally what happens here is, assuming Viego returns, it's gonna be. Wait. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll see this once we're back in game, but Viego chose to skip wolves, which is a curious decision.
Yeah,
you
would think he would want to just full clear his way down with the pathing he chose, especially because he's stalling the amount of time he's taking to clear out all of his camps by going Raptors to Krugs and then back down to blue side. So him skipping a camp, it might be in an effort to keep up on tempo and match a gank here if it happens, but it is a bit curious overall for the consistency of his income.
Yeah, I really don't think he should be in any rush though, because bot lane's gonna push back into them, back into the red side. So his bot lane's not under threat. Mid's been pushed in, so mid's not getting ganked. And they have vision and tri-brush. They'll see the Sejuani coming. I think you full clear, you match the Sedge, and you're probably gonna concede bot scuttle now. You play for top scuttle. I'm guessing he's gonna go wolves and then just go top side. He's just gonna get that. He's gonna take that scuttle prob, because his window for a double scuttle is gone.
Yeah, I mean, of course, neither jungler can truly know like the game state perfectly like that, and we are about to get back in the game. But what Sed should have pry on this scuttle if she doesn't know any better about, even if she doesn't know any better about Viego's pathing choices.
Yeah, has there been a hawk shot thrown? Have you seen?
No, not that I saw.
Okay, yeah, I was keeping an eye out for it. I didn't see it. I just want to make sure I didn't miss it.
Yeah, that's another thing that I wasn't even accounting for. It should end up giving them more information. Oh, we're going to see a hook right off the bat here, but not going to be much other than a trade of volley and auto. Overall, Viego is rushing towards the scuttle here, and Sejuani is clearing out this vision. So we could see a scrap here. Only one side knows it's a 3v3.
I think Fury should be pretty happy with this, because we just saw the auto director pan in mid lane there. Talia has prio. Okay, this is just par for the course with this client. Yep, that's fine. We're back, and Sedge not. I think this is a little late from Sedge there, collapsing on the bot scuttle.
Yep, she took a bit of time to just kind of stand there and look for a gank opportunity after taking the ward out, and we're gonna see a hook go wide. Probably looking for a lantern play in to the lane. A top side is a little bit unpredictable here, because I thought, Gnar would have control of the lane, but this is probably just a classic pushback. Talia is going to get the knockback and a big chunk on Viego, who's on his way to the second scuttle, using Zax priority to secure a double scuttle movement, and it's going to bring him back onto the same tempo of the amount of camps that they're getting. As a matter of fact, it's going to put him one above the Sejuani, and they do get blue side vision, so really good control from PKA, kind of setting down their vision and tracking this jungler, which is kind of big. It's going to be crucial for their lanes who want to be pushed out a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think Fury. I think they had the hawk shot. I think they could have fought that if they wanted to. Ooh, big miss from the Nautilus.
We're going to see a big hook on the Nautilus. Is going to be an engage. And it looks like Ashe is going to start running him down, stacking up this lethal tempo. She's going to activate Q, and she has a big angle, but she doesn't end up chasing the Varus down. It looks like it's just going to be an overall even trade.
I actually thought the instant that Nautilus hook, the dredge line missed both champs, I thought that's insta-ghost from Ashe.
Right.
Like, again, right here.
Another re-engage. Ashe is going to find it looks like Lights is going to go down. Ashe is going to have to chase down. She's going to stand her ground and fight the Varus, both proccing autos, lethal tempos stacking up. And overall, it's going to be a beneficial trade for the side of PKA, who's going to get first blood on the Varus. The flash forward from Varus is going to secure the first blood.
Yeah, I just think the decision making from Buies was a little weird there. I think you get the advantageous first exchange with the whiffed dredge line. You just pop Ghost immediately and force a flash.
Yeah, I totally agree, and it looks like, I don't know if it's for you, but
no, the spectate client's been on the fritz lately. There wasn't even last week when we streamed, there were no pauses in the series, and the client still stuttered.
Oh, it's gonna look like Gnar is gonna go in and get a big trade here. Zach does have passive, and he's gonna chunk him down while he's looking to crash this wave, but it's nothing lethal. But yeah, we do see a lot of the client staggering. In our recent games of watching, it hasn't just been this series for sure. But yeah, back to what you were saying. I think Ashe's decision making there was a bit questionable, where she could have been much more aggressive with the fact that she had a lot more lethal tempo stacks stacked up quickly. She had Q active, and she kind of didn't choose to take the all in. It could be just not wanting to overplay her hand and get killed, but it did end up. It is a missed opportunity in actuality.
Yeah, I agree. I think especially a champ like Ashe, like you mentioned it in during the draft, that she has a lot of she brings a lot of value outside the fact that she's a DPS, but the champ is so smothering if she gets a lead.
Yep, and we're gonna see a Zach roam end up getting the mid flash. Pretty impressive roam timer, as it doesn't look like he's gonna miss too much. Does have TP in worst case. But an interesting angle for the top to start spreading his impact. And it looks like right now, the Viego's going to look for a regank himself potentially. So we're going to see him slowly come in here. Taliyah is going to get flashed on by Viego, but it doesn't look like it's going to be lethal. It's going to end up just being a big chunk on both Viego and Taliyah here. Overall, a basic trade, but Taliyah does have TP, so it's not going to be too punishing. Yeah, but yeah, the side of PKA, it looks like they're playing much higher tempo early, and they feel more sure of themselves in the early game decision making, especially in the aggressive aspects of it. It's around the scuttle itself, that was a bit questionable and unfortunate, but overall the Sejuani should end up bringing a ton of utility later, especially post 6. So it's just going to come down to how we play 5v5s and standoffs and objectives for this comp.
Yeah, great shout out on the Sejuani, because I think the tempo should be reversed. I think Fury should be playing that kind of tempo because they have the Sejuani. It's a champ that if you're going camp for camp with Viego, you're not happy with that. Viego needs that income to function, whereas Sedge can really make use of the treat gold, the bonus treats that junglers get that they accrue over time. So she can spend more time on the map. But we have yet to see so much as a gank from Demon this game. And
yeah, just some hovering, but nothing definitive. You're right.
Yeah, and it might just be that they're biding their time, waiting for an angle.
Big combo, but it's gonna be at the same time as Nautilus finding a bait, and that's gonna have Justifies going down. LeBlanc is gonna pick up the kill on Taliyah and crash this cannon wave in. Not very good for Taliyah's sake, because she already used her teleport back to lane.
Yeah, and it looked like Lights had the right, Lights was matching the roam timer that Nautilus had, but it seemed like they just missed the mark on where the Nautilus was looking. I think the I think in hindsight that play is pretty obvious that you want to look for the flashless Talia. Like you have setup, you have the Zac, you have Viego, you have Nautilus. Nautilus on roam timer, that's an obvious attack mid angle.
Yep, any seasoned mid laners will explain, will know kind of inherently that that around 8 minutes it's quite a dangerous timer, because that's when support should be roaming to Rift and looking for advantages, and that is exactly what happened there. They're going to find the flashless Talia, they're going to secure the Rift Herald, and ultimately it's going to now be harder for them to contest this this dragon if PK chooses to go for it. Zac going to be taking some pretty good trades here. But overall, it's... Oh, we're going to see an engage here by Lights. Lights is going to flash, flay. The Nautilus is going to force flash. And overall, it's going to be the end of the exchange there. Just a trade of flashes for the supports. But we do see Demon starting to get a bit involved there. He did use his ulti in that exchange.
Yeah, it does get the flash, I think. I wonder if the spectate's right, because it looks like Varus also flashed there. Yeah,
I also am curious about that. I didn't notice Varus flashing. It's very likely that Varus cleanse flashed the Sejuani ult.
Yeah, because it didn't, because like just like off the AoE of the Sigil, it didn't look like it had hit Nautilus. So I think that's a pretty good guess, Civil.
Right. And then obviously we saw by the time the spectator went down, the directed camera, we were watching Lights try to desperately make something of the gank by flash flying. Still, overall, if you can get Varus' sums and you create a gankable lane, then that's ideal. We're going to see heavy trading up in here in the top side. Gnar is getting closer and closer to proccing this call, which will give him a considerable advantage on gold just by kind of passively existing. He is 20 CS up at this point while crashing this wave, and it's likely that Zac is, he uses his teleport back to not let himself fall too far behind. Justifies is about to get his flash back, so he should be less of a gank target. But we do see that this whole game, Viego has been able to kind of control the river and keep up in, or even exceed, the amount of farm he's getting on Sejuani.
Yeah, and I'm a bit concerned because Fury isn't utilizing the Ashe like I'd like them to. It just really seems like they're lost and unsure where the enemy team is. And it seems like their decision making is a little rushed. Like we saw, like I want to return. Okay, let's see the Drake take first, then I can talk about what I want to talk about.
We're gonna see the wall come down. They're gonna isolate the Nautilus here. It looks like they're gonna look for the engage. The slow is gonna come down, but nothing to come of it. They just lose the dragon, and the entire time it looks like now Talia is gonna have to base, and it's very likely that she's gonna lose a wave off of this play as well. Bit unlucky, I would say, for the side of Fury to not be in position to capitalize. Ashe Arrow just stayed up the entire time instead of capitalizing on that play. So not ideal. Again, like just what you were saying, we have the Ashe, but it doesn't feel like we're utilizing it to the most effective ways that it could be used, where he, unlike other ADCs, he could be a little bit farther up in their face. He has high range, and he's effectively perma-slowing when he's autoing. On top of the fact he's not really hawk-shotting to scout out where the opponents are, and it's causing a bit of an information gap where he should be, you know, when you play Ashe, you're sacrificing a damage ability for that scouting ability. It's not just like a net neutral. So
yeah, I don't want to put it all on Buiz though, because really utilizing Hawkshot is a team wide effort. It's often the support or the jungler who's saying I need Hawkshot here, or like a dialogue has to be started, and then the team has to decide where they're utilizing. It's a resource. Like Hawkshot's a resource, and you have to choose as a team how you're going to use it. And I think that speaks to some of the questionable decision making Fury's displayed this game. Oh, this is really bad.
We're gonna see a gank top, a 3-man gank on the Gnar, but he does have Mega Gnar coming up. 2-man ulti into the wall and an escape. Well played by Super Chase there, and he's gonna stick. It's very likely he ends up trying to stick around for one more minion here. He's got 1 stack on his call, and Sej is sticking around as well. Zac has flash, so it's not gonna be the easiest gank, but we're gonna see what ends up happening. This whole time, we see that there's also Chase has a plate advantage and a farm advantage, and now that he's procced this call, there's a good chance that he will start to take control of this lane. So overall, how do you feel that Sejuani could start like impacting the game a little bit more? What would you like to see her do?
It seems that Fury is desync. They're not playing as a unit. And they're overly cautious when they're approaching plays. Like that Drake take, like the approach to the Drake was Talia walked in a really weird manner. She doesn't have to play that far. Like she doesn't have to path that far down. Like the Talia ult gives you so much range and so much mobility. You don't have to overcommit like that, and it costs Talia a lot. Like she's behind in tempo off that. LeBlanc gets a roam and costs Nar his flash.
Yeah, I totally agree. And we're going to see an engage here. Flash out of Buiz, but Buiz is going to get those final autos. Nala's walking out of vision, so he's going to lose out on it. But Sejuani's here. Varus is going to get the last hit on Ashe, but Sejuani's here to clean up. She's going to use the ulti to last hit the ADC. Are they going to catch up to Nautilus? It doesn't look. It looks like he dredge lines out for the escape. What an absolutely amazing escape by him. And then otherwise, I'm pretty sure he got hit by the slow. So that was definitely like a last-minute escape. And it's going to overall be a 1-for-1 that costs both ADCs their sums. If LeBlanc is here and is going to get T-Light's flash and still kill him with the last auto from Static Shiv. And now overall, another kill goes down in the top side. It's kind of a bit of a massacre right now in side lanes. Despite the gold lead only being about 1,000, it's definitely got to feel a bit demoralized to be losing these fights early inside.
Yeah, I think demoralizing is a fantastic way to word it, Civil. Every play that Peak Azurite is going for is working, and that's a really deflating thing to see. Like if you're Fury, it can be pretty hard to watch every single enemy play working, and your play's either falling short or the play's just not happening. Because I think the game, there's still a lot of game left to be played. The game has not been decided yet, but Fury need to make some adjustments right now because the game is slipping away rapidly.
Yeah, it's a bit of mental warfare, really. Even though the gold lead isn't going to show the big difference, because I think the top is a little deceptively ahead with the plate lead that he got and then the Cull proc. But overall, like you said, they're watching around the map that every play is working out. I think that the bot skirmishes aren't being played as well as they need to be played if they're going to be taken this way. And it's working out really well in the side of PK's favor, because now Varus and LeBlanc both have leads, and that's only going to increase the potential for these standoffs at objectives to go poorly if they're able to actually one tap the backline as soon as they get an angle. So overall, I'd like to see Fury kind of using the tools they have with Sejar and Ashar a little bit more aggressively around the map now that the map is being opened up. Another Rift Herald's going to go down here, and it's going to ultimately end up cracking mid tower. A big deal, actually. Oh, maybe not.
No, they need to hold. They need to hold on to this mid tower desperately, because if the mid tower goes down, then the LeBlanc is unlocked to do whatever she wants to this Ashe and to this Talia.
Yeah, absolutely true.
Yeah, they do have inside track on this Drake, which is really promising. And they have a window. They have a window. Zach's not here yet. They have a window to do something right now. They're just gonna burn it, and I like this. I like it. I like this.
It's like your idea, right?
Yeah. The Weaver's Wall to get out. Yeah. This is all good. Okay.
Zach teleport's gonna come in.
This is a good fight.
He's gonna knock him back. Lights is gonna take the ult, and he's gonna end up going down here. A big play by Gnar. Gnar is gonna get a big ulti. LeBlanc is looking for the flank on backline. They're gonna get the kill, but Gnar goes down, and Viego gets the reset. They're gonna have Zach passive here, so this is gonna be a clean wipe overall. Really insane TP by Zach, if I'm being honest. He makes that play it goes from basically an unplayable fight because of the wall. He's able to just get in a backline, stall it out, and make it really easy for LeBlanc to get an angle around Dragon Pit. So that's a clean ace for PKA and a huge swing despite the Dragon.
Yeah, really well played from PKA. I thought that the fight looked good for Fury because Gnar was about to go Mega, but great Nautilus ult to just delay that Gnar coming out. And that swung the team fight. They got the Viego resets and they just ran over the fight.
Yeah, that's the nightmare part of it. So T-Lights, it's not that big of a deal if he ends up going down first, especially because he ate multiple ultis to do so. However, it just said, they weren't able to kill the frontline. They, being Fury, wasn't able to kill the frontline fast enough to justify the death, and then Gnar was only able to be a stall tactic. Overall, the damage output of PK is just much higher, which normally would be offset by the fact that they were able to peel themselves out, except for the Zach TP. Super clutch TP by Zach, and played pretty perfectly considering the way he used his passive.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, Civil, but that conversation where I said there's a lot of game left to play, I'm giving Fury 1.5 more chances in this game to make something happen, because if they can't find a successful fight, if they can't claim bounties, off a desperate fight, I think this game's over. Now, I think they haven't been able to. They haven't been able to group up and make a cohesive game plan and approach to an objective. I think the Weaver's Wall idea to get out was good, but the TP from Zach was just the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, I think I agree. I agreed with everything you just said. Overall, I think it's almost generous to give him the 1.5. I think next fight.
Okay, so this is a perfect example right here.
Right?
Like look at the map here. Like Chase's might. Okay, Chase lives. Oh, he's going for the play. I like it.
Oh, we're gonna see Sejuani come in for the save, even though it's a 4v2. She's gonna peel him out. The TP from Justify is.
There's the arrow. Look at the arrow. Look at the arrow.
There we go. Yeah, it's gonna hit the Nautilus, and it's gonna be. It looks like the Talia bounce back did not end up connecting, and they're not able to finish off from here.
Oh no, Sedge.
And Demon's gonna walk a little bit too far forward, end up getting chunked down. It's now going to be up to 2 kills here. That is going to be Baron as well, and a freeze too. Even the game can't believe it. But yeah, the Ash arrow connecting is a really big plus, but it doesn't look like it ends up being capitalized on properly. And with the start of the fight, Nar's already out of it, right? He's already chunked out. He's already used Mega. So that pick needed to be everything they were playing for. And with them not getting it, it's a bit of a tragedy. The Baron is going to lock up a lot of problems now. LeBlanc is just kind of a monster on 2 items, and there's not much more they can do. They're put between a rock and a hard place now, because they did end up drafting a more low damage comp that revolved around them using the tools they had regarding utility to outplay the opponent and control space. And now that the opponents are so strong, that's
you can't do it.
Tenable.
Can't do it anymore. It's yeah. Like there's a night and day difference between a good Ashe and a bad Ashe, and I think Fury needs to go back to the drawing board with this Ashe pick, because it's a strong pick, but it's a pick that the whole team has to understand how to play off of it. And the fact that we've seen like the Hawk shots have seemed to be low value, the arrows haven't been great, and even the understanding of how Ashe wants to play the lane and all these elements tell me that if Fury want to play this way, they need to scrim with the Ashe more. They need to practice the Ashe more before whipping it out in Aegis. Because this is just not convincing.
Yeah, I agree with that. But while we were discussing that, we're going to see an engaged start. Viego's going to use his ulti to cancel Ashe ulti. Not only did they find the solo kill top on the mid laner, but they are able to invade and pressure off the. No, they actually we did end up getting the red, but they were able to pressure the enemy team. Fury is looking like they're kind of playing fully reactive at this point, and they kind of have to. But you're right. I think the Ashe. My personal opinion, I don't know if this is just skewed because I play a fair bit of Ashe, but I think Ashe has a lot of agency for an ADC to make more of a stamp on the macro for your team. You don't necessarily. It is definitely up to the support and jungle to ask for the resource, but at the same time, I think like if you're playing the map mentally aware, you could really do a lot of the work for tracking jungle yourself, and you could do a lot of the playmaking yourself as well. And ultimately, it's taken more of a passive backseat, really moving into that utility role, I guess you could say. It's just kind of playing very heavily into the utility role for this game, which I think is wrong if you're going to draft things like Sejuani and Talia. Those are the champions that you're going to be like, I need you to be there to follow up. And we're going to see a hook down on Sejuani here. The Weaver's Wall is going to come down, locking out the Viego, and we're going to see if they make anything of it, but it looks like the enemy team is just going to carefully peel out 4 people here just to defend the Baron push. Gnar does come around with Triforce and Mega Gnar, but doesn't look like they're going to find anything.
No, they're chasing too deep now for this. They're yeah, I think you have to cede the space back. Like, force them back, sure. Just try to waste the Baron as much as you can. Oh, okay. I was scared, Civil. I was a little concerned.
Yep. I'm a bit concerned myself as well, but at the end of the day, we're gonna see the LeBlanc harass itself is starting to become easier and easier.
Yeah, they don't have an answer. Oh no. This might be game.
Yeah, this is gonna be a big engage, a missed hook, and it's gonna look like Viego's gonna get his start off resets. Ashe is gonna go down immediately, and since they do have Baron still, right? No, they don't. The Baron
just ran out.
They're still gonna at least open up inhib.
I think the depth timers are long enough, Civil. I think this is game.
I think you might be right here. We might be seeing
unless Chase goes crazy with Gnar. With the Gnar, the game's done.
Yeah, maybe if he ults the wave, but ultimately he's just kind of playing it safer, backing off, and this does look like it's going to be an end angle
Yeah,
for the side of PKA, who's going to go up 1-0.
really, really convincing game one from PK Azurite. Yeah, not much else to be said. They won every lane.
Yep,
Yeah.
5 winning lanes, a winning jungle, a winning support. Ultimately, I don't think it was necessarily a draft issue. I think it's just that the draft has to be taken. There's a lot of a lot of command that needs to be taken with the utility tools. You need to be like looking for plays off of rip.
You
as often
have
as
to be
possible.
so proactive with the comp that Fury drafted, and they just don't seem that proactive. And it's fine. It's fine if you're not that proactive as a team, but you can't be drafting in that way because, like you said, once you lose control, their comp can't do anything. They don't do enough damage. They're not tanky enough to withstand what PKA drafted, and that's exactly what we saw. So, I really, really liked Fury's comp, but if you don't understand how to play your comp, if you don't once the LeBlanc got fed for Fury, like that's when you start. That's disaster. Like that's the one thing you don't want to happen. And LeBlanc and they failure to protect the Talia was a huge problem. Failure to utilize the Ash Arrow, failure for Demon to be proactive on the Sedge. All these things mean that PKA were allowed to walk over the map. They could do whatever they wanted, and honestly, Fury just slowly bled out. They took a few desperate fights, but the fights were taken too late. Yeah.
And in the wrong situation.
Yeah,
right?
that too.
I think ultimately, I know that obviously damage-wise, the Varus and LeBlanc profited the hardest, but I think a big MVP for the side of PKA was actually Zach. He was able to maintain a losing matchup throughout the entire game, even after going at a gold deficit, and come team fight time, he was an absolute monster, made it impossible for the enemy backline once the fights got started. Obviously, they could have played it better to not allow such a flood in. When I say they, I mean Fury. They could have played it better to not allow the enemies to flood in, but Zach made that. He found very creative ways and a great TP on that one game fight that blew open the game, got the enemy team an ace. So
yeah, and a really
Alrighty.
and sorry, did I cut you off? Sorry.
No, I was just saying already. Like that, that's it. That's game one.
Yeah. Well, the big thing I'd like to see from Fury next game is they were really, really split that entire game. Like the resets were desynced. Players were entering space when they had no teammates in proximity. Just solo queues, like stuff you see in solo queue. Like everyone's just running around like a headless chicken. And if you're playing a comp with like Viego, Varus, Zac, and LeBlanc, like sure you can play like that. Not saying PKA did that. I'm saying that their comp is more forgiving if you do play in a loose manner. Fury's comp demands discipline and it demands proactivity. You need to constantly create opportunity and space for yourself because your comp is greater than the individual champs you've drafted, whereas PK Azurite drafted champs that are just, if allowed to gain gold and resources, they'll just run over Fury's comp.
Yeah, I agree, and that's exactly what we saw. So I'm interested to see how we alter draft and our game plan, more importantly, going forward.
Yeah, I really want to see the Ashe dropped. I want to see if we're going to revisit the Sedge, it needs to be way more proactive. I think Demon ganked twice that game. It is not a good look if you're playing Sedge. Sedge should be dropping camps, should be just taking plays, and if you're not, and you don't have to necessarily force plays, but at the very least you need to be actively protecting your laners, and your laners need to be utilizing the Sedge's pressure and the threat she offers to play more aggressive in lane and to take risks. You want to coax the enemy team into forcing plays onto you, and then the Sedge is there to punish. And we didn't see any of that from Fury. Yeah, and for PKA, they played that really well.
I love their macro is pretty incredible.
Yeah, no,
considering they haven't had a lot of success to split so far. Their macro, their choices with how they use priority and the command they took over neutral spaces like the river was very impressive. At most points in the game, they had 3 to 4 pinks down. So
yeah,
I just love to see that if you're PKA.
Yeah, and I really liked that they recognize that the LeBlanc is the champ they want to enable. The Viego is also a champ you could choose to enable, but the LeBlanc has so much agency in this draft if she gets ahead, especially with how scattered and unorganized Fury was. The LeBlanc can just run rampant, and that's exactly what happened once they enabled her. So. Just good roams from the Nautilus. Shout out there.
Yep, so I guess that puts us in. We're going to be waiting for the draft to get started game 2. We'll take a very brief intermission because teams are already lining up and putting the draft.
I think we're unless you need a break, Civil. I think we're just gonna keep going here. I see.
No, the only thing if you wanna just restart the Discord stream just because it was a bit laggy.
Oh, I can do that.
Yeah.
I can do that without going to break though. That's not an issue.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. So other than that, we'll get right into the next draft soon. Teams are already lining up quick. It looks like that one put a fire under our behind to get lined up and get started. And I have a feeling that we're going to see, if I had to take a guess, we're probably going to opt less into utility, more into damage and more into scaling, because it's easy to have a VOD review, go back in time and talk about what you want to do after the match is over and when you have scrim time. But I think ultimately they don't want to revisit such a low damage, high utility comp. I think they need to play towards what they've shown from last game, which is they are not as proactive as the enemy team, and they need to make it hard to be reactive.
Okay. Well, so it looks like we can take that break because teams are going to take a little bit of time to discuss that last game. So we will, in fact, be going to a short intermission, and then we shall return with the game 2 draft.
And welcome back. We are here into draft for game 2.
Yeah.
BCF is going ahead with this Ivern ban. We've chosen to take red side for BCF this time, which honestly I think is a good choice, especially for if we want to get a little bit more info before we commit to things with our drafting based on how game 1 went. So how are you feeling going into game 2 with these side swaps?
I think if you're, because I haven't seen any footage of Painkiller's Fury yet. This is my first time watching them play. If game 1 was any indication of how they tend to play, red side definitely favors them because it's a more reactive side. Like blue side dictates the pace of the draft. We're leaving Maokai open. Are we just handshaking Maokai's edge?
I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah.
Looks like the PK is going to collapse on that Maokai choice very quickly.
It's an absurd pick still, even after Riot's attempts to cut down the tree. So
yeah. All things said, it's just guaranteed CC. It's a great enabler. If he has flash up, like, you have to be nervous of it. It's unlike other gankers, and we are getting wild.
Okay, this is a lot more team fighting and damage, which is promising.
Yeah.
It might be that they prepped the Diana in response to Maokai, in which case I'm wondering. It feels kind of bad being forced to ban Maokai on blue side because that's a pick that you generally just want. PKA just ripping a book out of pro play, going for Maokai Jace.
Yeah, and we are not doing anything like that. We're kind of going with a much more wild card draft so far. I don't necessarily dislike it. It's going to definitely come down to like what we choose for R3 and R5 that's going to define the rest of this draft. And Jace is definitely going to, it looks like they're going with a lot of flex picks, and they have taken the Ashe as well for the consistency factor. Now, I do know we are big Varus enjoyers, especially Buies himself. So there's a good chance. I wouldn't be shocked to see Varus come down here for us, but that's not necessarily what you want when you've already drafted Diana. I'm not really sure if they're going to want to commit to going really hard with the Diana pick. Seraphine could be a flex between mid and ADC. But that's what we're here to figure out. It's very well. Okay, we've locked in Aurelion Soul. It looks like we're just picking mid R3 and banning out 2 counters. Not necessarily a terrible idea. That kind of does cement to me that Seraphine is ADC.
Yeah, it could be a support Seraphine still, but I think Seraphine performs very well with gold, so it makes sense to put her in ADC. I didn't do that much prep on Peak Azurite. And just given the recent trajectory of Jace, I see him more often as a mid laner than a top laner. So they're banning Fiora, which lends me to think that this is a Jace mid.
Yeah.
Jace should feel if you're good enough to pick Jace on B2, you should be very confident playing against Fiora. It's not a lane you're gonna outscale, but you can space and control her really well if you're good at the champ.
Yeah, the question for me now is what do we pair with Seraphine that doesn't just leave Diana on an island? Because now at this point, we've picked a lot of range and a lot of AP. And ultimately, when they pick Ashe, you kind of want to commit more to like longer range poke, right?
Wait. Why did Fury ban Ornn?
That is a good question. I'm guessing they should have picked Ornn.
They should have picked Ornn. Wait, how did they engage now? How did they engage into Maokai? Your plan is what? To like hope they line up and then you Seraphine ult them?
Yeah,
it's not a good plan.
The downside of this is that we're lining up to pick like a split pusher R5 top,
oh,
and that's not
no.
really good.
If they pick Blitzcrank or something, that's so scary.
Yeah, I agree.
No, they should, like, if I'm PKA here, I'm slamming Blitzcrank and just saying, what, your Diana's entering space and getting one shot? Okay, cool. I mean, I guess Pyke's okay too, but I'd much prefer the Blitzcrank. No, I want the Blitzcrank. Give me the Blitzcrank.
No, it's going to be a Nautilus lock-in. Last game it went really well for them.
Yeah,
they used Thresh pick, which is a traditional, maybe like a bit of a handshake, maybe slightly Nautilus favored. But here, I mean, it looks like DCF's bot lane is just going to be very exposed, especially because this is very likely a Maokai jungle angle. And I mean, look at this kill squad. Maokai, Ashe, Nautilus. If you're playing Seraphine support here, you're going to have a target on your head from level 1 to level 18. There's not going to be a point in the game where it's going to be generally easy for you to deal with this. And they do close out with the Kennen. I would say that's I don't know if it's the safest blind, but it does force a lot of our answers to be split push oriented, which is not what we want for the rest of the draft.
Sion is probably your best bet here.
Yeah, because you do need a front line. You do need somebody who's going to be willing to eat that Nautilus hook and eat the poke from Jace.
So that's also fine. It's yeah, I think the Malphite's also fine.
I mean, it fits that job, right? And
yeah,
it
just
helps out Diana. Obviously, you don't want to pick Malphite into an AP champ traditionally, but we got to do what we got to do here. If he doesn't want to pick Sion, we do have to pick a frontliner who could find and engage and eat the hooks like we were mentioning. So ultimately, this could end up being a good pick for Seraphine and Diana to play through later in the game. It's just now a matter of how will lane phase go.
I'm a bit concerned because Malphite's more of a diving tank than he is like a Sion, which is more of a frontline engage tank. And the reason I'm concerned is because PKA drafted first pick Maokai and then they picked Kennen to dissuade dive. Like you're sending Diana Malphite into a Kennen comp, and the Maokai ult is going to make sure that Malphite gets through and maybe Diana gets through, but who's following up? Like the Ace has to be on such a weird angle to not be caught by the Maokai ult.
I think that they're hoping to combo Seraphine and Misfortune and have very little time with ultis active to make a lot of impact. It's not necessarily a terrible idea, but considering the range that PKA should be playing at for their carries, it's going to be a tough ask. It's going to be difficult because let's say Misfortune walks up and gets in range for R on the enemy backline. That means she's basically in Maokai's face, basically in Nautilus's face. So overall, it's I'm pretty sure this just has to be a massive lane gap in the bot lane somehow. They do have the poke advantage and do have pressure. They're gonna have to scout Maokai very well to ensure that their support isn't just getting flashed on, their ADC just isn't getting flashed on by the Maokai.
Yeah, my concern is with if Fury's bot lane tries to play aggressive, then you're playing Diana against Maokai and a Nautilus. And I've seen the Jace Aurelion Soul matchup a number of times now, and Jace gets prio, Civil. He gets prio, and
I had no doubt about that.
yeah, it's so you're trying to make an isolated 3v3 play against a team that can likely bring 4 members down to fight you for it.
I mean, PK did show that they're very progressive, or proactive, I should say. Sorry, with the mid lane priority, they had no qualms about just sending their mid out and about as soon as they feel like they're strong enough to do so. And the thing about Jace is that strength price point will be like 0 gold. He's just strong enough to do that inherently. So, a little worrisome, but the good news is that if BC Fury gets a lead on bottom lane or gets a soul into a comfortable spot with some kills, it might not be such an impossible game. That's a big ask though, considering how the game was played last game. So I'm interested to see how they're going to bounce back using some more unorthodox tools. I would argue that PKA's draft is easier to play and more intuitive to play, but if these players are on comfort and things, you never truly know how these games are going to go. So leads on VCF are going to be extremely valuable and extremely, I would argue, mandatory.
Yeah, we did see that the comp with I have a feeling, Civil, that whichever comp I think is going to do worse is going to win. So if we follow that logic, then Fury has to win this game, though.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I really counted PKA out off of draft, and they were anything but. So if we follow that logic, I like PK Azurite's draft a lot more this game, which means that has to mean that Fury is gonna defy my expectations and win this, right? Surely.
Yep. Based on our 1 game sample size.
No.
I'm gonna go with that.
This is an ongoing theme where I say oh, I really like the idea this comp has. I think it matches it handles what the enemy comp wants to do very well, and then it doesn't play out like that, Civil. The comp that I think is favored just loses. They just get run over. It's an ongoing. In all the years I've casted, it happens a lot. So. Yeah,
I definitely, especially in these elo brackets, the games are quite unpredictable.
Yep. It's just which players, which team shows up on the day, really. You could be playing Disco Nunu, and if you're the better player, you probably win. Hyperbole, of course, but
I think a big X factor here is going to be having Demon on a carry. There's a chance that, we can only speculate about what was going through the players' heads at the time, but having him on a utility pick last game, he did not seem comfortable with the idea. He went for a playstyle that was more akin to a damage champion, if I could say so myself, where he was playing for the camps, he wanted to make use of the gold, but he was playing Sejuani.
Yeah. And it's not like the Viego was terribly proactive. It's just Viego benefits from that kind of stalemate more. He's a champ that accelerates, that he gets stronger with the gold sedge. Is just what, you hit Even Shroud and Sunfire Cape, and you're what, you're chilling after that? You don't care? Take my camps. Same as Maokai. These champs are really overbearing with gold, but they're by no means reliant on it. Whereas if you're playing Diana or Viego, you need money. You need a lot of money. You're taking out loans for those items.
Yep, you're in the futures market mindset. That's for sure. I'm just interested to see if Peak's bot lane can play a similar style and play as well as they did last game. That's gonna benefit them a lot because they have the potential to really eliminate Fury in the 2v2 if they play it perfectly. We saw last game there's a lot of windows where Ashta pushed her advantage with lethal tempo and early game pressure, and it wasn't necessarily as easy as we thought as per the gameplay. But if PKA, now that it's enabled by a Nautilus, is able to find a hook, you're gonna have to flash out to not get ran down if you're on DCF Fury's bot lane. Diana is probably going to be playing for herself much of the game. I don't think there's necessarily a lane that she's loving the gank angle on this game. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's more of like each lane is an island to themselves.
Yeah, I'd really like to see Pika Azurite invade this game, because if they can blow flashes on any of the carries of Fury, then that's just an easy Maokai gank. Just 3-camp gank, kill them. Done.
Yeah, and likewise, I'd like to see Chase make sure that he might even want to sacrifice his early vision to make sure he doesn't get invaded on top side. Because I think that's likely where they're going to go. They're probably, if I was PKA, I'd be calling for like go top through try and try to catch like a Malphite flash early. Because I think another thing is that Kennen actually doesn't have that much damage early, but he's going to have a slow poke ability on Malphite. And of course, unless Chase goes like Arcane Comet with his Q, then there's not going to be a lot of counterplay in trades.
Yeah, it's a matchup that I don't expect. Like, if Kennen plays it particularly well, I could see the Maokai roaming up and doing something up there. But if that doesn't happen, I think both teams are pretty content to leave the top lane alone.
Yep, I agree. And we're here joined with Coach Mikey once again. How we doing, Mikey?
Hey, I kind of ripped into him a little bit after that last game, but we're doing okay.
All right, so maybe you could talk through some of the decision making for the draft this game. We thought this game's going to be kind of hard for the boys to play, but not necessarily impossible. It's going to be very contingent on them getting leads. But I want to get some insight, especially on the jungle choice for Demon. If this is like, if he's more comfortable on carry-oriented picks, or if maybe he is like the type of player who really enjoys Diana. What was the insight for this decision?
This is a pick that has been our response to Maokai, and we knew they were going to be one Maokai, so we knew that, we're very confident in the Diana response. The Seraphine is a pretty big flex for us, and the Diana can also be thrown in the mid lane as well. So two kind of flex picks for us. Although, the Diana being picked there was more than likely going to be jungle. They locked Jace. We knew that was Jace mid from the scouting that we did. And we just decided that we're just gonna scale into it and just locked Asol. Pretty much every scrim that we've done where we've locked these 3 champions in response to a Maokai comp, we have done well. So I'm hopeful that the same thing will happen here.
Okay, so what do you feel like the analysis for the second half of the draft, considering these are going to be good answers to Maokai, and obviously they're going to have like 4 other champs that they have to intertwine with. So how do you feel about the draft as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, we really had thought about going R4 and doing Ornn for ourselves. We just didn't really feel too confident, with the prospect of them locking a like Darius or something into it. So we elected to go for the MF and ban out the Ornn with the expectation that we were either going to go Malphite or Scion on R5. They locked the Kennen. It's a little bit easier for Malphite to function into that champ than it is for Scion, so we decided to go for the Malphite. I'm pretty like optimistic about this draft. I think we have press your R button combo, which is really nice. So hopefully that ends up paying off for us.
Yeah, I think even though the enemy team has like an easier draft to play and it's a little bit more cohesive, like in terms of like if they're just kind of like neutral, like if both teams are equally skilled, I think that there's a lot of room, especially if Demon gets ahead, where him and Malphite may be able to just shut out the enemy backline. They are going to be playing through the tree, and they are going to have to play through the Kennen ult, but overall, it's not impossible. I was saying that the contingency for this game is that Fury has to get leads early to make their comp function.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be very much dependent on Demon.
Yep, I agree. I was mentioning that Demon did. We are into game, and we are going into game 2 here with BCF down 1-0, but I think Demon is on a champion that will suit his clear style a little bit more, where he kind of plays for consistent gold income. But Diana overall, he's going to have to get more than just kind of like a trade-off for trade-off camp exchange. He's going to really have to be like making ganks work for himself. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I think that's That's definitely the MO here. I think another thing that is a little, I guess, trickier for us is a lot of times when we see this Diana from Demon, he is picking up a bunch of kills in a cleanup role. So we could probably be on the lookout for that as well, especially with bot. But yeah, I mean, these early game skirmishes are going to be very telling of how this game is going to go. But I'm going to bounce to let you guys cast. Much love and chiller season.
Killer season, baby. Alrighty, so we are into it, and we see that the PKA bot lane is set up early for this fight. Hopefully they don't find anything too deadly here, but it looks like they are going to find the opening hook. Ash is going to get the hit, and the E is going to go wide on Seraphine, so this is going to be a big disadvantage here for Miss Fortune. She's going to be chunked out from the early. No, only one combat sum in the lane, so this is a little bit more so about how Ash can kind of bully the lane. You saw that she was able to get 3-4 autos in just on the name of getting free engage. I would go as far as to say there was a world where she goes there to force flash, but
I think it's the misfortune is just too close to the tower. The heal's still available. I think you wait for the wave to come back into you, and then you can threaten the ghost.
yeah, that's probably a fine play too. There's definitely no world where you can mess up after such a strong start. I agree that in hindsight you could just play slower. We are going to see some heavy trading from Ash on the support as well, and a massive wave going to crash. So, I mean, dare I say this could be an early dive? Like,
they should have you should have dived. They should have brought the Maokai down and dived. Like once the chunk happens on wave 1, you say Maokai, you call Maokai down. You 3 camp, go bot. They're so squishy. They're level 1. They're 2 range champions.
They're 200 HP each.
Yeah. Yeah, they have the heal, but there's enough burst just from the Maokai base damage that I think they're dead. With the app, okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Missed opportunity, sadly.
PK's bot lane plays this extremely well, getting a cheater recall too. Already had a huge health advantage. I mean, you're in a tough spot if you're BCF Fury bot lane off the rip. Not only just because of the chunk, but now the enemy is coming off base with extra items and reset with gold or with the mana and health. We're gonna see a gank top from Demon, but Demon, he's gonna get a chunk and burn the flash. A little bit surprising.
Here comes
Kennen running
Maokai
to his jungler. Surprised Demon doesn't read that out because he's not running to tower, and Demon's gonna flash a little bit late, and he's gonna end up going down to Maokai. It's gonna be first blood over to Maokai. Kennen, he does end up escaping and baiting in a kill with his flash, really beneficial. And now Chase, out of mana, is going to be in a tough position himself. Ultimately, this is really what you don't want to see if you're Diana. You don't want to die early, lose tempo, have one of your laners fall behind when the other lane is already behind. This is a world where like it's an ASOL scale fest. You're playing. The upside of this comp is there's a good chance you don't lose after like 30 minutes, but PKA is already getting huge leads, and Miss Fortune is going to get hooked and stunned up. Flash is forced. Seraphine is going to get engaged on, have to burn the heal, but they're looking for a counter engage on Ash. Ash is getting lower and lower. Maokai is here, and that's really not the worst counter trade outside of having to use their flash, which is unfortunate. And another double E. They're getting chunks down. ASOL matches his own roam. Diana's here a bit late, and despite the attempted 4-man, it's not going to be any advantage generated. If anything, they just lose a summoner.
I think the bigger loss is there's some lost XP from mid lane, and ASOL's not gonna TP. Okay, so this is bad.
This is work, brothers, as the kids say.
This is dare I say, Civil? This is disaster because your only point of pressure in this entire draft was maybe you had some avenue to play out from bot lane, but Diana pathed away. Really poor start from the bot lane, and I think you're
Diana's trying to force here.
It's just trying to get the wave crashed.
Hopeless gank,
no,
right?
you're trying to crash the wave. And okay, scary. Oh no. Okay.
Yeah. Overall, I mean, he should be. I know that he's trying to play to crash the wave and protect the lane, which is fine. It's unfortunate though for him because he actively needs to be farming these camps and hitting 6 to make sure his ganks are impactful. Kennerol's gonna go down. Buiz gets hits with another hook this game, and he's gonna go down. And now this could end up even resulting in like a slow push soft freeze here that costs him.
Oh, mid's frozen too. Mid's frozen. He has no TP. Okay. So Civil, you know how you said that it's like an ASOL scale fest?
Did I say that?
I
did say that.
You made some mention of ASOL. You need to pray to God that for some reason this game goes past like 35 minutes because it's not.
Yeah,
It's really bad. It's really bad. It's really bad. That failed roam and then bot just being in disarray. Like, why would you like? I really have to question Demon's decision making in this game because why in God's name would you ever start bot side here? It's the only lane you can play through.
It's a good question, and ultimately
he's 2 levels down. He's 2 levels down. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's not.
Hopefully, it's 6 off this wave.
It's not fine. It's not fine.
It'll only be 1.5 levels down.
It's not fine. It's not fine. It's not fine. Oh God. Oh dear God.
We would literally need to channel the power of Chiller Season right now to the max to undisaster this early game here. A 1.5k gold lead on the side of the comp that cannot be afforded a lead. Obviously our whole comp spikes at 6 and becomes easier to play, but if the enemies are already up a significant amount of gold and XP by that point, you diminish your ability to outplay them pretty considerably. Not only that, but Patlow on this Nautilus has just been cranking it out. I don't think he's like missed a hook yet. He's hit Buiz every time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really setting Buiz behind himself in gold, not necessarily XP, but in gold for sure. Jace playing in front of the wave, making it really hard for ASOL to farm since he has that big XP lead.
Yeah,
and he is up a teleport too, so he's pretty fearless here. ASOL.
I think Jace is just looking to TP when he has access to Eclipse or Duskblade. Is my prediction. Maybe he takes a free reset if like he's gifted one. Like he probably crashes his wave and resets, for example. But yeah, I think he's gonna save that TP, and once he has Mythic, and he's just gonna come back, and it's just there's more pain on the way, sadly.
Yeah, someone log checked this mid laner because he's been playing out of his. I mean, the PK mid laner because he's been playing pretty out of his mind these series. Obviously, capitalizing really well on the mistake. He didn't force the mistake necessarily, but he has been punishing extremely well, getting an XP lead for himself, controlling the lane. 2 levels up now, and make no mistake, ASOL outscales, but not too much. Jason's gonna be a problem.
I don't have time to run the math, Civil, but I'm gonna wager that Roam pushed back the scaling clock on ASOL by at least 7 minutes.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. You definitely want him to just be chilling in the side.
Like, look at this. He can't I think it would have still been bad even if he hadn't roamed, but it wouldn't have been this bad because he would have had a little more durability. He would have had a little more base damage, and it might have been enough.
Yeah, and now we're seeing Diana try to have a gank here, but remember what I said about this timer. This is a Nautilus roam timer.
Oh, good trying to predict.
Flash is going to come down. Ulti's going to come down. It doesn't look like anything's going to come of it, thank goodness, but the Diana flash is blown. We do see Maokai use his flash, Jace use his flash as well. So overall, I mean, we're going to see an ulti from Malphite, and ultimately not really going to do much. Yeah, so like objective control going over to the side of PKA completely for the 2nd game in a row. And this is really the game where post 6, you kind of don't want that to be the case.
Yeah, that's gonna be Heralds and
it's Herald, good. And ultimately, like if bot lane gets killed one more time, it's gonna be a first tower.
Man, this is a serious point for Peak Azurite, and this is not what Bing Chiller's Fury want. They don't want to be feeling that the game's out. Like the game, so the game is out of their hands at 10 minutes. And that's a disturbing thing to think about. I actually don't want to think about it anymore. Can we talk about better things?
Yeah, like potentially if we can just close our eyes and pretend it's 35 minutes and we haven't lost yet.
Yeah. Play the dream where ASOL hits 1,000 stacks.
Yeah. At this point, though, realistically speaking, getting to that point is going to get harder and harder as Jace hasn't even spiked on his first item. And at this point, with the big XP difference and the fact that Jace is just a little bit better fundamentally at catching these waves and keeping priority and poking off these waves, it will be a rough go. On the one upside, bot lane hasn't really been bullied as hard as they were the first couple levels in the meantime. And ultimately, there is still a chance, still a window that Demon can try to play through these guys. We are going to see some small trades here as we try to fight for vision control, but nothing too definitive. And it looks like Chase is coming down. Malphite is coming down and looking for a play, and he's leaving. Well, ultimately speaking, 2.5 minutes to this dragon, so having the pressure down here right now isn't that important. We are sacking a free plate topside for that roam. Yeah, overall, it just looks like everyone is a bit uncomfortable. There's almost a 50 CS lead in the mid lane right now.
And 2 levels. I think the 2 levels is more important.
Yep, they're going to see the Nautilus hook, and the Ashe ulti is going to force Bui's cleanse. Bui's going to flash out and hit an ulti. Nautilus is going to be 1 HP. Demon's going to finish that up. This is exactly what Demon needs to get back into the game. If he can get this Maokai kill, it's going to be just as big. He does, and Ashe is playing in the face of Bui's. Hopefully she can't finish up, but she does have the lethal tempo. Jay's EQ is going to take out Misfortune, and that's going to make it a solid 2 for 2. Ultimately, 2 kills going on a Demon is pretty good, but this is overall going to be problematic for Asol as the lead from mid lane extends even further.
Oh, it looks so good for Fury for just a moment, but the Jace roam, it just seals the deal. I think Bing Choi's Fury will be happy with the fact that Maokai died, which means no Herald went down. Like they delayed the Herald being dropped for like another 25 seconds because he's gonna drop it right now. He's dropping it right now.
Maokai is making the classic mistake when he's in these comps where everyone else on his team does damage. I really don't like going demonic first. I really think you might as well just go full tank.
You should just go even Shroud. I'm being honest.
Yeah, I agree. Just go even Shroud into like Sunfire or something to that effect.
You could even go Radiant Virtue. I think Radiant Virtue is also fine here.
Anything that's not this first item. It's just so oriented towards like dealing a minutely more amount of damage when you're not needed to do so. So hopefully, maybe we're saved by Boris potentially, but we're definitely in a position that we need to be saved. The one upside here, we see that Demon has completed that first item, is starting to get ahead on jungle tempo very slightly. He's up 3 points on his jungle item. So will this be a window for them to play again? One other thing I want to bring up. Notice how Mojo Joe played Ashe as super aggressively, was not scared to get up in the face of the enemy ADC. That is exactly what I was picturing last game when they had windows to engage and take fights. It's that he was able to push. He knows his limits, which was really important there, and ultimately led into the kill for mid lane. Because if he hadn't maintained everyone standing there autoing him or trying to kill him, they back off and take the fight win. And here we're gonna see PKA is taking control of the dragon. Second dragon, not necessarily supposed to be theirs, but with the gold lead, it looks like it will be.
Oh, what? That hit? Okay.
And we're going to see Maokai ult go down as well. This could be an angle for Demon now that ult is down, but 5 is here. 5 is here, so they're going to have to give this up.
Yeah, I think they had the Malphite TP there, but there's just no angle for Fury to enter the river and fight. The Diana's already chunked, and they're split. The Asol was unable to move from mid lane. It's impossible for him to move. He's going to get pressured off. The tower's going to go down here is my prediction. Yeah. Yeah,
absolutely it will. And that's not really what you want to see if you're BCF.
This could be good.
Ult is going to go down. Ult is going to go down on Bui's. The cleanse already used, and Diana's going to be there and force the flash out of Ashe. Ulti's going to go down, but from MF, but not very impactful. Seraphine's going to get the double stun, but really,
here comes Jace.
Overall, yep, the enemy is roaming in. Another hook is landing. This guy is a hook magnet right now.
Oh, okay.
Flash from the Jace is going to secure the kill.
Yeah, Jace greeted there. He wanted to get the accelerated shock blast onto the MF, but just barely out of range, and that forces the flash. He has to flash to get the Seraphine kill.
And now Asol is so going in with the chase TP, and that's going to be 2 quick kills over. Malphite is going to continue forcing, and Ashe already used her flash last fight. This is going to go over the Asol.
Oh, no, you shouldn't have taken that.
Yeah, unlucky, but as long as... I don't think they can even kill this Maokai either. Very unfortunate for Malphite to pick up that extra kill, but a great team fight overall. Shows a use of the teleport advantage to pick up a kill. I'm not even gonna lie, I did not see the teleport coming in. I was focused so hard on Asol.
That's likewise.
Not taking a bad fight. I was like, please don't go over the wall. They knew something I didn't, and that worked out well for them. They did use ultis, and honestly, Chase might lose pressure on the tower and might even lose the tower. I'm gonna go ahead and say that is a trade you're willing to make at this point in the game.
Yeah, you have to go for desperate plays. You have to try to force something because you're not gonna win. You're not gonna win this game by playing slowly and methodically anymore. We just die for the towers. Die for the.
Oh man, Weeze has to flash again. This Nautilus pick needs to get banned out or removed from this guy for game 3 if we end up winning this game. Because he is just making so many good plays. He's playing so proactively for his team. You could argue that it's like a misplay by Fury, especially like their bot lane, but like he's not missing anything.
No, so. Normally I'd say that Nautilus is not a pick you have to be that concerned about, but if you're unable to answer it 2 games in a row, then you need to ban it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, like I think Maokai and Ashe are infinitely more problematic than Nautilus could ever be right now. On what patch are we on? 13-16? 13-15?
Yep.
Yeah.
13, I think it's 13-15 right
now. Yeah. Those champs are way more problematic. But like if you don't have an answer to the Nautilus, if you can't contend with it, if you're caught unawares by the brush cheese 2 games in a row, I mean not that they got caught by the brush cheese game 1, but it was there. The Nautilus was cheesing with the Varus. Just ban it.
Yeah, I think it's just like another thing that I had mentioned prior is that in these leagues, the games tend to be more chaotic, and I think Nautilus really does thrive in that type of environment. If he's able to create the chaos, it's very disadvantageous to the enemy team.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, a lot of counterplay comes into like being aware of his angles and being confident in your ability to play around his engage angles, and that's not something I would venture to say we are right now.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing PK Azurite playing really brazenly because there's not a lot of tools that Bing Chiller's Fury drafted to punish them or to dissuade such attempts. Like they have what? Like early game they had what? Like they had nothing. They actually had nothing. Civil. They had nothing.
Yeah.
And the Jace is just walking all over them. Like,
it's brutal. It's brutal because this is we got counter pick option into Jace. We got counter pick option into the Ashe. If I'm guessing it has to be like a player choice difference that we don't put the Seraphine support. I'm sorry, Seraphine ADC, because Seraphine is actually a really good answer to Ashe when she's matching carry versus carry. But in this game, we've made it so that an engage comp is just really powerful into our bot lane, and our bot lane is also the only lane that we can play through. If bot is able to sniff out the early game cheese and demons pathing for bottom, this game probably looks a bit different. But not for nothing, the game hasn't spiraled out of control as much as I thought it would with the first 10 minutes of the game. Now it's just a matter of can we bother, or can we attempt in the first place to contest these dragons? And I'm not sure.
I think there's a window they could try because once again the Malphite TP is available. They could try to fight this if they think this is their window to fight. I would advise against it.
I dare say they have no option, to be honest. They can't. I think if they give this team Ocean Soul, it's just
no. You have to deny them Soul next strike. You're like this strike you can't. Oh, you might. Okay. Wait.
Ashe ult is down. Maokai ult is down.
I'm changing my mind. I've changed my mind.
And Demon just making.
Oh no.
Oh man, and the Cannon TP is gonna find a massive ulti. Is gonna wipe out the back line. It's gonna be Malphite all alone, solo ulting, and this is gonna be another ace.
This is
ultimately it's a turbo mistake there to try and force the fight off of Maokai TP because you have such a beautiful advantage as a 5v5 going into Dragon.
I think Fury is a bit rattled, and they rushed that. That was such a rushed play when there was no need. Like you said, they got the Maokai, the Ashe, and the Nautilus flash. You can play it slow from there.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that they're shouting to each other that the ults are down and that we have to take a fight, but I don't think that's the way we have to do it. I mean I
agree that's not how you have to play it, but also in the moment it's pretty hard to call for that kind of patience and discipline. And because you've been on the back foot this entire game, like the game started off disastrously, and so tensions are high and possibly emotions are high, and so you're going to tunnel on this what you feel is your last opportunity to really make something of this game.
Yeah, I would dare say that this is like a 90-10 like potential for PK to win, but I do have faith in the potential of like this ASOL just stalling out long enough. He's not farming super well, as you can see. He's gapped by a lot of farm, but he did pick up a few kills for himself, and he is already on 2 items with the tier stacked up. Is it going to be the reason they win? Or is it going to be like a winning factor guaranteed? No, not at all. But it has the potential where if he gets a big team fight where he gets a few more kills, he will become a really big issue for PKA, and that's basically our main hope at the moment.
Yeah, because with the misfortune indexing into lethality, the Diana and the ASOL are your sustained DPS options if you're red side, and I think that's what you have to rely on, because we've seen these attempts at comboing, at utilizing the all the CC and engage tools Fury has to try to pick someone, and we just saw Demon was unable to find anything with the flash Diana with the Diana flash, and I think you have to play to isolate one target and then try to rampage a fight with the ASOL.
Yeah, especially because the engage was taken, kind of like ignoring the fact that Kennen teleport was coming down. Ashel going wide prior. I mean, there's nothing to fight over, but it looks like they're going for this Baron, so they might be able to find something with one of the ultis down.
Nautilus is marking. This is a hard ask.
Yeah, it's really brutal here if you're trying to. You have to play for the after fight.
Yeah, you're playing to kill Nautilus. Oh wait, are they gonna try to fight?
Seraphine ult's gonna go down, hit 1. Diana's gonna get rooted up. I don't know if the enemy team is gonna take this. Yeah, Diana's dead.
Yeah.
So they're on full retreat mode here.
Oh.
ASOL's gonna get flash hooked. Yeah, Nautilus. I don't know if this guy is like, if he is just like him on Nautilus or what, but I'm waiting for him to miss a hook that doesn't get flashed this game. And another hook. Like, you can't make this up, right? Like,
yeah,
he doesn't end up getting punished for it, but it's gonna overall be a winning fight.
Is this game again?
They're gonna find the wipe. Yeah, this looks like it's Baron, and only Demon is gonna be up to wave clear. I mean, Seraphine's gonna be there too, but Seraphine doesn't even have a completed item, and it's Baron.
Oh, they're not gonna greet it. They don't have enough of a wave. They're calling it off. Okay. Okay. One more chance. Fury has in this game, and what do they burn there? Oh, they actually have most of their flashes. Okay, they can make something of this fight. I'd say Seraphine ult's pretty unnecessary, because if you're getting a good fight as Fury, you're comboing the Seraphine ult off of someone else, so you don't really need your flash. You're just sending it through everyone. So
I would go as far as to say, like, the ulti combo, unless they were really far ahead, was always a bit idealistic. But now that they're behind almost 10,000 gold, what world do they find a 5-man ulti?
No, you're trying to get the Jace. That's who you're trying to kill, and it's gonna be tough to do that now, because the Radiant Virtue's coming for the Maokai.
Yeah, Radiant and Kennen are is just gonna be, and Kennen now has finished.
And the Nautilus. The Nautilus is such a disruptive force too.
And Seraphine's just passed away.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
she has perished.
Well, Okay. Silver lining here, Civil, is there's only one tier 2 left for Fury, so they're not. Like, maybe they don't lose their tier 3 bot tower. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, that is certainly.
Never mind.
I see an Ashar. This is kind of what you want to see from Ashars.
Yeah, they're. Honestly, ASOL is really poorly matched against Ashe. Now that I think about it, so stationary is his wave clear that, like really good from peak Azurite.
It's just overall going to be. This might even be the end of the game here, as now that they do have the pick. Seraphine is all up with R. And Misfortune does have R2, but the towers are falling quickly, and they don't have their front line. Chase is going solo on the Kennen. Diana's going to find an ulti on. There's going to be an ulti combo here on Jace, but he's going to live with about 400 HP, and this Nexus is going to fall. It's going to be a quick 2-0 for PKA. Extremely well played by them. MVP for me, almost definitely going over to Patlow here. I mean, this guy, he probably hit like 15 hooks in the first like 20 minutes of the game.
Yeah, no, massive impact, and yeah, I'm curious who does the shot calling, because Peak is right. We're really coordinated in both games. Like, I think their draft was a lot more scattered game 1, but their comp still accomplished a lot, and they took advantage of Fury's lack of proactivity. And then this game 2, they handled the tools, they handled the agency, and they just jammed it down Fury's throat.
Yeah. Definitely showing up and handing Fury their first loss in a very well-deserved way. This wasn't any type of fluke or anything. I think this really exposed some of the things that BCF Fury need to work on, which I would say it's going to be like team play and cohesion. But other than that, PKA showing the exact opposite, showing extreme team play and cohesion, as well as just getting to capitalize on a few different mistakes, gives them a brief 2-0. And that basically summarizes the whole game. It's just superior macro, superior team play, and this game they just happen to have more tools to do it than last. So last game was somehow more dramatic of a, or it would look on paper more dramatic of a loss, but I think this one, considering that BC Fury has more early game power, you just don't love to see that they fell behind in all 3 lanes, especially to some simple traps and some simple tricks. So it's back to the drawing board for these boys, but they still do stand 3-1 in their current placement, so not the worst place to be.
Yeah, just it's better to learn these lessons to encounter these obstacles in regular season where you have time to review these mistakes, review these games, and then I like their comp. I like their comp game 1. The game 2, their comp is kind of iffy to me, but I think at the very least, Fury has a more a better idea of how they want to play as a team, because I think they tried something experimental in game 1 and it didn't quite pan out.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's about it. I don't have any more closing thoughts. I think we beat the dead horse about
Agreed.
about how it was beaten. But for anyone who's interested, tomorrow we are going to be back with the BC Clear Comms stream. They'll be taking on, if I remember correctly, they are going to be playing Worth. I think the team name is. I'm a little bit shook about that, but I think that's their team name is Worth. I don't know if that's their org or their team name. And we'll be back tomorrow, 8 p.m. See you guys there overall. Any closing thoughts, Sim?
No, I've got nothing else to add. Thank you all for watching.
Yep, thanks for watching, guys. Chiller season. See you guys soon.